Nigeria's latest push to expand the country's energy access and connect millions of citizens who still live in energy poverty. Now, to achieve these new levels of electricity or energy security, Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima has disclosed that the country needs over $23 billion to expand its energy access and connect the millions of citizens that are without light. Now, Shettima, who stated this recently in Abuja, submitted that as the world sails fast towards net zero, Nigeria and Africa must not be left behind. Nigeria's energy transition journey under the administration of President Bola Tinubu plans to unlock an investment opportunity of over $410 billion between now and 2060 to position the nation as the heartbeat of Africa's renewable energy revolution. Well, for more on this, glad to have joining us in the studio the Managing Director and Chief Executive of the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, Abba Aliyu. Thank you so much, Abba, for joining us.
Thank you, Shagai, for having me.
And we have about 86 million Nigerians without access to electricity. And you look at the figures that Nigeria is projecting. How does the Rural Electrification Agency come in, to ensure that that energy deficit is tackled and very fast?
Yeah, so the essence of creation of Rural Electrification Agency is to bridge that electricity access gap. Like you rightly said, the country has the highest number of people without the access. So that is why Rural Electrification Agency was created to, deploy electricity infrastructures in communities that are without access, one. Secondly, to also bridge the quality of supply. So there are communities that have the access, but the quality of the supply is very poor. So in such community, we also deploy infrastructure to enhance the reliability of the supply. Thirdly, we also intervene in a number of critical sectors of the Nigerian economy. We intervene in education, we intervene in health, we intervene in agriculture to enhance the quality of the service being provided, be it at the hospital or educational sectors, or in the agricultural clusters, be it production cluster or processing cluster. And we also intervene in 4 different areas. One, for communities that are peri-urban, where there's an existing supply of infrastructure, we deploy what we call the interconnected mini-grids. Such communities, the main challenge is the quality of supply. So we deploy the generation plant and connect it with the national grid. During the off-season or off-radiation period, we rely on the national grid. But during the day when there is radiation, our generation plant generate the electricity and provide them. Okay. For communities where there is no access completely, that is why we do the isolated mini-grid. For such communities, we deploy the generation plant within the community, put out the distribution network, connect the households, generate the electricity and power them. And we have a battery storage so that of the radiation time, we rely on the battery to supply them. Mm-hmm. There are also communities that are without the access, but they are very close to the national grid. Okay. In such community, we extend the grid. This one is not now deploying the generation plant. We extend the grid, deploy transformers, and connect these communities. Then lastly, there are communities that are well sparsely populated with very low consumption rate. In such communities, we deploy the stand-alone home system. We call them solar home system. These are systems that are designed to just power the household, that very single household, and we deploy such as the least cost of providing electricity. So in a nutshell, this is what we do to bridge the access gap.
And now let's take a look at the issues of funding, because I'm really excited about 2 programs that you have, the Energizing Education Program and then Energizing Agriculture Program. I'm really happy about it and how it's been helping universities and all of that to have more energy. But let's talk about funding. Now, you've had World Bank supporting you. Are there other sources of funding that you've been getting apart from the federal budgets that are meant for you?
Yes, so our line of funding, we have 4 different line of funding. The first line of funding is the one that gives us the highest value, which is the support we get from the federal government through the development finance institution. In this category, we have the World Bank and the African Development Bank that provide this funding. So the federal government take this concessionary funding and give it to us. So that is the main source of our funding. The second source of our funding is through the budgetary provision. So year in, year out, through the national budget, certain provision is provided to Rural Electrification Agency to intervene in some specific areas. The third source of our funding is the one that the Electricity Act postulates. In that regard, we get some funding from the electricity market, be it excess revenue of the regulator or any kind of sanction enforced by the regulator. So if there is any breach by a market player and the regulator enforces the sanction, that money doesn't go to the regulator.
It actually comes to
us for us to provide the electricity to the last mile. Then the last source of our funding is the grants. There's a lot of push, and we also tend to contact many of these international development agencies, and we tend to take grants. Now, if you take the first one, Development Finance Institution, we just completed the implementation of the $550 million Nigeria Electrification Project, one of the landmark projects that the entire African continent is looking up to. And under the leadership of Mr. President, he signed the biggest publicly funded project in the entire world, a $750 million
Yeah, I mean,
project.
I was so excited when I saw it. And I was like, I just hope this doesn't end in figures. I hope the funding will actually permit through to your institution.
No, so we already have the funding. We already have started implementing. It's on ground. We have already started implementing. From that funding, for the first time in the history of the country, we are now project developing 900 mini grids across the country. And we can provide you with all the details of the communities in the state.
In different geopolitical zones?
In different states, not even geopolitical zones. State, local government communities will give you that figure. From also that funding, apart from the 900 mini grids, these are all isolated mini grids. We are also working to deploy about 52 interconnected mini grids that will inject about 230 megawatts of electricity. This is for the communities that have poor supply. So the wisdom of Honorable Minister of Power is that we use the interconnected mini grids to ensure reliability of supply for these underserved communities. So we are working on building that to inject 230 interconnected mini grids. We are also deploying, we have deployed already under that project over 1 million solar home systems. Our target under that project alone before the end of the year is to connect 20 million Nigerians. Unprecedented. It has never happened in this regard. So we intend to target 20 million Nigerians by the end of the year. And this
end of 2026.
Yes, this particular
year. So we'll have to hold you to account on that.
Absolutely. We can come back to this. We can come back to this program. In fact, I did this with your sister agency channels, where I told them the plans that we have, and they said that, after a year I should come back. I said, no, I'll come back in 6 months to give the figure. So you too, I will take the challenge. In 6 months, I will come back and give you the numbers that we have gotten under that project.
Yeah, but let's talk about some of the issues that we have with manufacturers of solar equipment in Nigeria. Many of them are unhappy with the federal government of Nigeria's decision and all of that. But you are saying that we need to domesticate manufacturing of solar equipment more. I mean, why do we have more tariffs slammed on the importation of solar material? Can we actually meet that local production?
Oh, absolutely. You see, the National Renewable Innovation Forum that you referenced, which was attended, the Vice President attended, that we did last year, was a deliberate attempt by the Honorable Minister of Power to say that we need to stop importation of PV panels. We need to, as a country, we need to start that conversation of defining our future. And that future should be a future where Nigeria now is a manufacturing hub of renewable equipment in the continent. And it's already starting. During that program, if you go back, you will see that Rural Electrification Agency catalyzed investment of about $450 million of investment that are already have started. We have 3 manufacturing outfits in the Lagos Shagamu axis, Tricell, Africell, and Trenos that have already started building the manufacture. They have shipped the equipment. We have the another energy being IRS Green Energy that is putting a manufacturing in Uyo and Kano. We have the JRV here in Abuja. Before the coming of Mr. President, as a country, the total manufacturing capacity that we have is just 120 megawatts by Oxano. What we are talking about now, Nigeria is producing PV panels and exporting it to Ghana under a Levin company, a company called Levin in Ukotun. You can go there and check it already. And they are even expanding into Jigawa to start manufacturing. What we have, the capacity that we have from the 120 that Mr. President met, what we have before the end of the year, we are looking at 2.5 gigawatt capacity, manufacturing capacity in the country. So that conversation of Nigeria defining it is tomorrow by ensuring that we put in place strategies that will make us renewable hub of Africa has already started.
Yeah, but there are those who are actually saying that, I mean, we don't, our products may not be able to compete with that of the Europeans, although people are already saying that of the Chinese. Sometimes it's much more, it's cheaper, but I mean...
It's just a cliche. The Levin, the one that export to Ghana, do you think that if a Nigerian product did not get the highest level of certification, would it be able to sell in Ghana? It's just a cliche that people are saying. The Levin get the biggest certification of PV panels, the one that is being produced in Ikotun. And that is the same thing all others are there. I tell you, whether we agree or not, Nigerian manufacturing of PV panels, it's here to stay. It will come up and we will compete internationally.
And what are the advantages of manufacturing, all of this at home and then making Africa our market?
The advantage is very clear. We are concerned, for example, if, like I told you, some of our financing is DFI financing. So the federal government takes loan and gives it to us, and we use it to bridge the access gap. So we are conscious that if, for example, $10,000 is given to us to address the access gap, that $10,000, what we would end up retaining in the country is about $2,000. $8,000 will go out of the country in the name of importing the PV panel. In as much as we know we need the importation, is good, right? But what we are saying is we have to start conversation whereby we need more of the slice of the pie. Rather than taking the entire 8,000, why not we take 5,000 and 5,000 go out? So what we are saying is, rather than importing the entire manufactured PV panels, why shouldn't we import the wafers and come here, assemble the wafers, do the frame? We have aluminum companies, we have frames, plastic companies. We catalyze that, they take some of the market and we produce, and it is on record. One of the greatest achievements we have recorded under this government is, for the first time in the history of the country, the importation of ready-made PV panels compared to importation of wafers.
When you say PV panels, I mean, it's good to actually understand what that PV
so
means.
Photovoltaic panels, so the solar photovoltaic panels, what the importation of wafers was more compared to importation of the ready-made PV panel. This is unprecedented, and this is showing you the traction we are getting in making sure that we start manufacturing rather than importing ready-made goods.
All right, interesting perspective. As we try to wrap up these conversations, let's talk about how solar is the future for Nigerians, so that the national grid will be left alone instead of this constant collapse. How can households harness and benefit from the REA's intervention. And there's this state-by-state roundtable the REA is also conducting. Could you combine that?
Yeah, so solar is the future because it's the least cost of providing electricity, most especially in the communities that are not connected. So rather than the federal government has to extend the national grid, 1 kilometer of transmission line based on rule of thumb costs $1 million. So why would you extend transmission line to go to provide communities that are sparsely populated and their consumption is less than 1 megawatt? It doesn't make economic sense. Actually. So that is why we're saying that the distributed renewable energy is the least cost, most efficient way of providing them with that electricity. So rather than extending the grid, you go to the community, deploy solar panels, create solar farm, do distribution network, and power the communities. That is why it's the future. And the state-by-state roundtable, this is our own way of deepening the implementation of Electricity Act of 2023 that was signed by Mr. President. Yeah. We have engaged 23 states. Next week, we do the 24th state. It is our own way of aligning regulation between the national and the subnational. And it is also our own way of making sure that the states put in place measures to attract this private sector financing, be it in the implementation of the project or in the manufacturing. This is exactly what we are working to achieve.
And let's talk about this Nigeria electrification program and what it can help people who are innovators, people who have ideas to get into this sector, to actually get funds or support from the REA to do.
The National Electrification Project, like I said, is the landmark project in Africa that catalyzed so many things. Through the project, we were able to electrify 15 universities. If you go to University of Maiduguri, you see 12 megawatt. University of Abuja, here you see 3 megawatt. If you go to Port Harcourt, you will see 11 megawatt. If you go to Calabar, you will see 7 megawatt. If you go to Imo or where you see 8 megawatt. So we have completed 15. And that project was the model of partnership between the federal and the private sector. Through the project, we catalyzed the emergence of what we call RESCOs, Renewable Energy Service Company, that are now very much technically competent in deploying distributed renewable energy, in attracting finance, and now in even going out of Nigeria to deploy this infrastructure. You see Nigerian companies in Liberia, Sierra Leone, deploying this renewable project, and also creating job opportunities, enhancing our GDP, and increasing our revenue base. That's exactly what we...
Well, looks like interesting times ahead. And then, of course, with Nigeria saying that we need about $23 billion to expand energy access, I just want you in 30 seconds to define what that means, and then when you mean what you actually mean by energy poverty. I mean, people are interested in knowing what that means, actually.
So the 23 billion came as a result of the National Electrification Strategy and Implementation Plan, where we mapped the entire country. We said we have 86 million people without electricity access. So we needed to know where are they? What is the socio-economic nuances of these people? So we did the mapping, which we have. From my system, I can show you your house. I can show you the electricity status of your house. All the communities in the country, we have that data. So that is where we use to determine the cost of electrifying all the people. That is where the 23 million comes about. Electricity poverty is where you deprive people the access to electricity, which means they are not financially included, they can't do productive use, they can't cool their drinks, they can't read, quality time to read, or have quality electricity, health services or education. That's just taking people's dignity away. That is what electricity poverty is all about.
All right, we must thank you so much. Aliyu is the MD and CEO of the Rural Electrification Agency, a very sharp mind. And I mean, I can say that Abba has always been my boss. I mean, open disclosure, he's always been my former boss, actually. And I mean, you're doing a great job in REA. And we just hope that all of this trickle down, and in the next 10 to 20 years, I mean, not many people will be counting on the national grid always.
We would reach 10 years in the next 3 to 5 years.
All right, we must thank you for all that you're doing on behalf of the government for the Nigerian people. Thank you so much, Aliyu, for joining us. That's the much we can take on this edition of This Week. Thanks to our production team here in Abuja, Lagos, and London. We must thank you so much for joining us. See you sometime next week again for another exciting edition. I'm Somna Sandhu.